The wind howled across Oak Island as Rick Lagina stood at the brink of the unknown. His weathered hands trembled, not from the cold, but from the weight of what he sensed was coming. For generations, this cursed island had fiercely guarded its secrets, consuming treasure hunters, draining fortunes, and shattering dreams. But today felt different. Today, it was as if Oak Island was finally ready to surrender the treasure it had hidden for more than 700 years. Beneath Rick's boots, something ancient stirred, something sealed away in stone and shadow, waiting for this exact moment. Rick didn't know it yet, but he was standing before a threshold that could rewrite history. The greatest secret of the Knights Templar was on the verge of resurfacing. And before revealing what lay behind that ancient barrier, the team braced themselves for what promised to be a legendary discovery. Deep below the wind-beaten surface, at a depth of 140 feet, the drill struck something unexpected. It wasn't shale or limestone. It was impossibly smooth and perfectly flat, a slab that locked into place like a piece of engineered stone. The crew froze. Rick stepped forward, brushing damp soil away with his gloved hand as his breath drifted into the frigid air. This wasn't natural, it was intentional. Ground-penetrating radar confirmed what everyone instinctively knew. Behind the stone was a rectangular void, a hollow chamber where none should exist. The monitor flickered with outlines and contours, each one hinting at long-buried secrets. "Looks like a room," Marty muttered. Rick leaned closer and whispered, "Not a room, a doorway." Analysis moved quickly. Iron traces embedded in the stone suggested hinges, metal shaped by human hands centuries ago. Even after so many lifetimes underground, the essence of a blacksmith's fire still clung to it. Rick's thoughts jumped to the enigmatic stone triangle discovered in the 1800s, once dismissed as little more than coincidence. What if that triangle had been a marker pointing directly to this hidden entrance? The team exchanged silent, knowing glances. The truth was undeniable. The door mentioned in old journals and whispered through legend wasn't symbolic. It was real, an engineered gateway waiting to be found. The myths surrounding Oak Island stretched deeper than anyone had believed. Long before Europeans arrived, Mi'kmaq oral traditions warned of a sleeping gateway sealed by elemental forces, promising both fortune and danger to those who disturbed it. That warning now weighed heavily on Rick's mind. Old French explorer journals from the 1600s held a single haunting line: "A door of stone, sealed with oil and blood." Scholars had once dismissed it, yet here it was, a stone slab matching the description perfectly. Rick and Marty began drawing parallels to medieval practices, where sacred relics and forbidden treasures were hidden beneath fortified chapels, protected not by guards, but by symbols, architecture, and cunning design. Could Oak Island have been the Templars' last refuge, their secret archive, their sanctuary? The team recalled centuries of strange reports, lantern lights flickering near the swamp, shadowy figures drifting across the money pit. Suddenly, the meaning became clear. These weren't ghosts, they were guardians, protectors of a secret preserved across time. The realization grew sharper by the second. Oak Island wasn't simply trapped. It had been ritualistically engineered, a precise blend of faith, science, and secrecy carved into the earth. Close inspection of the stone slab revealed etched concentric circles, star alignments, and repeating crosses, deliberate, mathematically precise markings that hinted at a purpose far greater than anyone had imagined. These markings weren't random scratches or signs of vandalism. They formed a code. Experts quickly uncovered a startling connection. The symbols resembled a cipher wheel, an early mechanical code system used by the Knights Templar between the 11th and 13th centuries to protect their most sacred vaults. Rick studied the carvings closely and froze. The patterns matched the alignment of the night sky in 1307, the exact year the Templars were betrayed across Europe. Was it simply coincidence, or a deliberate timestamp carved in stone to commemorate the escape of their greatest secret? The resemblance to Scotland's Rosslyn Chapel was unmistakable. Arches, stars, crosses. Each detail mirrored the same geometric precision. Across oceans and across centuries, history was speaking through stone. Reconstructing the meaning behind the carvings would take weeks, but one truth was already undeniable. Oak Island's concealed door wasn't a legend. It was a message, a monument, and a mystery that had waited 7 centuries for someone to find it. The team soon realized something even more astonishing. The carvings weren't just symbolic, they were mechanical. The markings fit together like components of a lock, a functional system built directly into the stone. This wasn't merely a door, it was a coded gateway hidden beneath Oak Island for more than 700 years. And deciphering that ancient mechanism was only the beginning. LiDAR scans peeled back layers of earth and history, revealing a sight that stunned the crew. The slab wasn't just wedged in place, it was interlocked with gear-like teeth that connected flawlessly into the surrounding rock. The craftsmanship was unmistakable. This was intentional design, architecture built to outlast centuries of erosion, tides, and time itself. Further scans exposed hinge points reinforced with a metal not native to Nova Scotia. Analysis identified it as an alloy identical to those produced in medieval Iberian forges, specifically from Spain, a stronghold of the Knights Templar before their downfall. Marty, still skeptical, suggested it might be the work of a later engineer from the colonial era. But radiocarbon dating ended that theory instantly. Oak fragments found within the supporting timbers behind the stone dated from 1290 to 1310, the very years the Templars vanished from Europe. The evidence was irrefutable. This wasn't the work of pirates or colonists. It was a medieval gateway buried long before Columbus ever sailed. Hydraulic models estimated the slab weighed more than 20 tons, a staggering engineering feat for its time. And yet, here it was, built to resist water pressure, gravity, and the relentless grind of 700 years. Rick ran his hand across the detailed carvings and quietly voiced the truth they all understood. This wasn't a trap. It was a deliberately concealed door, designed to endure, designed to protect, and designed to be found only when the world was ready. Then came the moment of truth. As the drills bit into the slab's edge, a sharp hiss burst through the air, a rush of compressed air escaping like the exhale of a long-buried giant. Centuries of confinement had sealed it away, and the air smelled metallic and stale, thick with pitch, cedar oil, and something far more ominous. Gas sensors blared warnings. Mercury. The Templars were known to use it both to preserve priceless relics and to deter intruders. The toxic scent lingered, as if daring the team to go any further. Rick steadied the others. His voice remained calm, but everyone could feel the weight of history pressing on the moment. They were opening something meant to remain untouched, sealed by hands bound by oaths stronger than life itself. The drilling continued. The stone groaned under the strain, fractures spreading like spiderwebs across its ancient surface. Dust swirled through the beams of their torches, drifting in the stale, metallic air as the team worked. Then, at last, a fragment of stone cracked loose. Through the narrow opening, they saw darkness, deep, heavy, and waiting. Not just the absence of light, but the presence of something ancient. A splinter of oak recovered from the void, dated precisely to the years 1290 to 1310. Those were the exact years when the Knights Templar vanished from their European strongholds, their fleet missing, their archives erased, their treasures unaccounted for. The implication hit hard. What had disappeared in Europe may have been moved here, hidden beneath Oak Island. With one final push, the massive slab shifted, sliding along its interlocking teeth. The void opened wider. After centuries of silence, the gate finally gave way. Stepping inside felt like entering an entirely different world. The air was heavy and close as their torchlight swept across smooth white walls coated in lime, a waterproofing technique unknown in the New World at that time. Whoever built this chamber had mastered the art of resisting the ocean itself. Faint red pigments adorned the walls. Solar discs, crescent moons, and a 7-pointed star glowing softly in the flickering light. Rick recognized the geometry instantly. The esoteric Seal of Solomon, a symbol tied to forbidden knowledge and mystical protection. Wooden scaffolding supported parts of the chamber, the beams joined with a precision no colonial craftsman of the era could have matched. Every cut, every joint spoke of organization, discipline, and mastery. This was not a treasure vault. It was a sanctuary, deliberate, sacred, and hidden. A subtle scent lingered in the air: resin, incense, tar, and oil. Beneath those was something faint but unmistakable: the ghost of ceremonial fire. This space had once been consecrated. It had been prepared for ritual, guarded not by chance, but by intention. As the team moved deeper, the passage widened into a dome-shaped chamber. The acoustics were eerie. Every breath echoed and multiplied, as if the room itself amplified sound. Words spoken here would have become oaths, chants, perhaps prayers meant to bind the chamber through ceremony. Rick's torchlight revealed small alcoves carved into the stone walls. Inside them lay fragments of rusted daggers, broken chains, pieces of pottery. Nothing whole, but nothing random. Each item had been placed purposefully, a signpost left by those who constructed this place. The floor told its own story. Layers of ash, charcoal, carbonized wood, and bone fragments mingled with oils not native to Nova Scotia. Fires had burned here many times, not for destruction, but for consecration. Flames had once danced across these walls, leaving a weight in the air that clung to each flickering shadow. At the center of the chamber stood a raised dais, carved with geometric precision. Spiraling grooves wound across its surface like veins. Rick traced them with his fingers, realizing this wasn't a religious altar. It was mechanical, part of a much larger system waiting to be revealed. Their uneasy curiosity turned to astonishment when a crew member tapped the dais with a metal rod. The echo that returned was unmistakably deep and resonant, rising from somewhere beneath the chamber. The floor wasn't solid. Something lay hidden below, sealed behind the puzzle of the dais. A closer look revealed the truth. Dust and debris brushed aside to expose interlocking panels fitted with such flawless precision they were nearly invisible. Only when examined in the right light did the seams reveal themselves. The panels formed a complex labyrinth, their intersecting lines creating a riddle carved directly into the stone. Rick crouched and traced the faint grooves, worn smooth by centuries, but still clear enough to reveal deliberate engineering. The floor wasn't fixed. It had been designed to shift, sliding into position only when specific weight and pressure were applied. The resemblance to known Templar mechanisms was unmistakable. In Portuguese fortresses, the Templars had created stone puzzles beneath chapels and hidden staircases that appeared only when the correct sequence of stones was pressed. And here, half a world away and hundreds of years later, the same brilliance had left its mark. Recognizing this didn't remove the danger, it amplified it. The crew paused, uncertain. Marty warned that a single wrong move could make the chamber collapse. If the panels weren't meant to move freely anymore, forcing them could bury them alive. Rick countered that the precision of the construction proved its purpose. It wasn't designed to kill those who understood it. It was built to stop those who didn't. Carefully, the crew placed timbers across critical pressure points to distribute their weight. Every adjustment was debated, measured, and checked twice. Then it happened. A low, resonant groan echoed through the chamber as one section of the stone floor slid backward, retracting like an enormous stone drawer. Torchlight flooded into the new gap, revealing hand-carved stairs spiraling downward into darkness. A sudden rush of cold air surged up, as if the earth itself had finally released a breath it had been holding for centuries. Step by step, the team descended. The narrow staircase opened into a passage that ended at something both magnificent and intimidating. Another barrier. A massive oak door, reinforced with iron, sealed with pitch that still glistened darkly despite hundreds of years. Thick crossbars ran across its width, sending a clear message, strength and warning in equal measure. This wasn't just a door, it was a fortress in miniature. Every detail told a story. The iron hinges were engraved with a double cross insignia identical to those found on Templar tombstones across France. A clear, unmistakable signature of the Order. Here, at last, was direct proof of their hand on Oak Island's deepest secret. Above the door, carved into the lintel, were Latin words, Solus Fidelis Transit, Indignus. Only the faithful may pass. The unworthy shall perish. The warning made everyone freeze. But Rick didn't waver. Oak Island had never been about gold or relics. Every chamber, every carving, every artifact pointed to the same themes: guardianship, loyalty, secrecy, sacrifice. Standing before the iron-bound door, they weren't simply opening a vault. They were stepping into the heart of a centuries-old safeguard. Sparks flew as plasma cutters sliced into the crossbars, filling the chamber with the harsh stench of burning metal. Each impact sent vibrations through the stone, as if the room itself resisted their intrusion. Finally, the last bar shattered and crashed to the floor, scattering glowing embers across the stone. Next came the pitch seal. Heated blades worked their way through the hardened resin, and with a sharp crack, the seal broke. A rush of stale air burst outward, but carried with it a faint, sweet aroma of cedar, preserved like incense for centuries. The scent alone proved intentional preservation, an ancient method to protect whatever lay beyond. Slowly, the massive door groaned open. Floodlights poured into the space, revealing a chamber that left the entire crew speechless. Stone shelves lined the walls, carved with incredible precision. Resting upon them were bronze and clay vessels, iron-bound chests, and reliquaries shaped like miniature shrines. Nothing was scattered or tossed aside. Everything was arranged with care. This wasn't random treasure. It was a carefully curated archive, an underground sanctuary disguised as a vault. Gold glimmered everywhere. Coins spilled from open containers. Hammered ingots reflected the torchlight. Chalices shimmered from their resting places. It wasn't just wealth. It was a preserved legacy. The crew stood frozen, not just stunned by the wealth before them, but by the extraordinary care that had gone into its protection. The first artifacts they examined were gold reliquaries, inlaid with sapphires, rubies, and pearls. These once held relics of profound spiritual importance, fragments of the true cross, pieces of saints' bones, objects considered sacred across centuries. This chamber wasn't a stash of stolen treasure. It was a sanctuary where holy relics had been preserved during the Templar suppression. Lower shelves held stacks of hammered gold ingots, each marked with medieval Portuguese mint stamps. The dates matched perfectly with the height of Templar maritime operations during the 12th and 13th centuries. Individually, the ingots were valuable. Together, they represented a historical treasure beyond price. Wooden crates held sealed scroll tubes, their wax caps still intact. One had cracked slightly, revealing a glimpse of ancient parchment, possibly Templar codices, shipping logs, or charter documents long believed destroyed during the Papal Purge. The idea that written Templar records had crossed the Atlantic was almost unimaginable. Nearby lay ceremonial swords with gem-studded hilts, silver chalices rimmed with emeralds, and ornate vessels designed not for battle or trade, but for sacred rites. Everything in the room reinforced the same message. This was a sanctuary of holy treasures, not a repository of commercial wealth. Early estimates placed the monetary value at over $90 million, but the historical significance was beyond calculation. This was a lost chapter of Christendom preserved intact, a bridge between legend and documented history. For historians, it was revelation. For treasure hunters, it was the fulfillment of a quest generations in the making. But this astonishing discovery was not the end. Scanning equipment revealed anomalies in the walls, dense pockets suggesting adjoining chambers. One outline, larger and more complex than the first, indicated another sealed doorway, untouched for centuries. Oak Island's secrets were nowhere near exhausted. The markings on the walls hinted at an even larger threshold ahead, something far grander than the vault they had just entered. What lay beyond suggested a different purpose entirely. Not merely a treasury, but a vast repository of relics, knowledge, and secrets too extensive for a single room. Rick examined the symbols intently. then voiced his conclusion with calm certainty. This wasn't a typical treasure hoard. It was an underground archive built by exiled Templars to protect not just their wealth, but their knowledge, their faith, and their most guarded secrets. What the team had uncovered was likely only a small piece of a far-reaching network, perhaps one that stretched across continents, linked by clandestine voyages, erased from official history. The implications were staggering. If Oak Island held not only material riches, but encoded wisdom left behind by a suppressed order, then its significance extended far beyond Nova Scotia. The island might be just one node in a hidden global system, a secret library buried beneath the very framework of history. As the crew prepared to leave, their footsteps echoed through the dome, bouncing across the chamber's engineered acoustics. The sound felt alive, a reminder that Oak Island does not surrender its secrets without sacrifice. It demands patience, endurance, and respect. And this vault was not the end of the journey. It was only the beginning. With every artifact cataloged and every hidden cavity mapped, it became clear that the story of Oak Island and the true scope of the Knights Templar's presence across the Atlantic centuries before Columbus was only beginning to unfold. History had shifted beneath their feet, and the world had yet to grasp the staggering scale of what had been preserved in silence for more than 700 years.